Business 101 students, welcome to week 6 of our course. This week, we are going to be looking at chapters 11 and 12 from the text. I have at least one student that there were some issues with their midterm, so please, if you got an email from me regarding your midterm, please reach out to me, back out to me. I will work to get all of our homework. Most of you got your homework into me by last night for the previous 2 chapters. Make sure that you are working on the semester is flying by, right? This is an 8-week course and we are entering into week 6. So make sure you're working on your paper as well and you are getting some things down on your company. If you have questions regarding that, please reach out to me via email, crobertson@ec3pa.org, or text 814-490-6473. This week, we're going to start talking about marketing, and 11 and 12 are your chapters for review this week. Chapter 11, marketing, building profitable customer connections. And initially, we start to talk about utility, right? And utility can be measured quantitatively in several ways. Utility is really, we're looking at how well a product does what it says it's going to do, how well it fits the need that we think it's going to fit, right? There's multiple ways to look at utility. Is it delivered to you in a fashion that, from a consumer standpoint or from a business-to-business standpoint, that is meeting your expectations, right? So that meeting of expectations, whatever type of utility we are looking at, form utility, time utility, place utility, or ownership utility, how well is the product meeting your needs or satisfying your wants, right? All of these things can be measured quantitatively, so we start to touch on some of those, looking at different types of marketing, the evolution of marketing, right? And we did talk a little bit about the different eras earlier on in the semester. There's a nice timeline here, which is in Exhibit 11.1. We've also started talking about early on about some of the customer relationship, customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, how important that is, right? It's easier to keep a customer that you have than to try and gain new customers. So how does that work? Talking about a marketing plan. Some of you may be familiar with marketing plans. If you take a marketing class or you take a business development class, how do you make a plan, right? How do you make a business plan? Marketing plans are similar to that. It's a component of a business plan. Thinking about the different segments of the market that you are trying to target, right? Exhibit 11.2 talks about the marketing strategy. And here's where we get into, there's one thing in this text that I would change, is that the 4 Ps are how we think about marketing, right? Product, pricing, promotion, and placement. However, in this text, for some reason, they've replaced placement with distribution. But distribution is really placement. How does it get out to the public, right? How does it get to where it needs to be, where it's sold? So that's really what placement is. If you want to remember those 4 Ps, product, pricing, promotion, and placement / distribution. There are some other factors that lean into those. Who is the competition? What are the economic factors that are happening? What political, legal issues are going on? What technological changes are happening? All of these things were coming into play during COVID, right? Because we had some political, legal things happening. We had different things happening economically, which we do right now. And so sometimes your pricing strategy has to adjust for economic factors. New technology, right, also is part of that. So thinking about market segmentation, we think about two different types of there's 2 different types of markets overall, right? Either we market to consumers or we market to other businesses, and there are different factors that are involved with each, but just know that there's a couple of each of those. If and when you take the marketing class, or when you take it as part of the upcoming requirement, we will go way more into some of the areas of marketing and how detail-oriented you have to be, figuring out segments and whatnot. All right, so market segmentation, we talk about several types of things. Are they consumer, are we talking about consumer-based items, product use-based? Are we talking about geographic use of items? And so again, here is the marketing, the blend of marketing strategies, the 4 Ps. They're listed, except distribution should also say placement. That's how we get to 4 Ps. What are some of the things that influence the consumer? Well, guess what? You know some of the things that influence the consumer because you are consumers, right? So some of the factors that contribute to your purchasing And the things that are interesting to you are cultural, social, personal, and psychological, right? And you know that. But from a business standpoint or from a marketing standpoint, we want to make sure that we incorporate those into our marketing strategies. Consumer behavior, another thing to think about when folks are buying items, what are they thinking about, right? What are some of the line items that they're considering when they're thinking about consuming? The other thing this chapter touches on is primary data versus secondary data. And so primary data is when you actually go out, and if you are, an entrepreneur, you go out and you find, like, what do people want in my neighborhood, in my town, in my city? Like, what are some of the needs that need to be filled? And you actually go out, you design a project, you go out and you find out firsthand, right? That's primary data. Secondary data is really you're gathering information from compiled sets of information that already exists, right? And using that. There are pros and cons to both, right? Primary data, you find exactly what you want. You ask the questions that you want, you design the research, and so you know, okay, here's the things that we're interested in, and you get the answers for those. However, it can be quite pricey, and it can be time consuming. Secondary data does not necessarily hit the exact things that you need, but guess what? It's already been collected, and you basically just find a way to access it or buy it inexpensively, and you have access to that data, right? It's already there for you. So it's less expensive and less time consuming in that sense. And so this chapter kind of goes into primary research, some ways of doing primary research, some examples and some comparison. Exhibit 11.7 does a nice job of explaining the comparison between primary and secondary data. And so that is chapter 11. You're going to talk about marketing strategies and the introduction of the 4 Ps. So hopefully you find that exciting. I love the 4 Ps and I love the marketing strategies, which most of those you know already as a consumer, because again, as a consumer, you know what strategies are being employed to attract your dollar or to attract your business, right? And you know how they are marketers tap into, a good marketer taps into your specific demographic. They tap into what your needs are, whether it's commercials, print ads, ads that are in your social media, whatever it might be. Those items are, marketers are able to look at the overall end user and work backward. What does my end user really want, right? And so when we go into chapter 12, we start to dissect 2 of the 4 Ps, product and promotion. And so in this product and promotion, products, there are several qualities that we see. We have things that are called services as well. We have products that are tangible. We also have services that are product by another name. We look at layers of a product, right? Core benefits, actual product, augmented product. Augmented product is additional goods and services provided with the actual product that sharpen their competitive edge. So even if you go to, we'll say like a hair salon or a barber, that's your main service / product. But some of the things that they now do is they tie in, you can buy other products there, buy the shampoo they use, buy the conditioner they use, right? And so thinking about how companies have come up with this thing called an augmented product, right? Versus the core benefit, the core thing that you're going for, which if you're going to a hairstylist or you're going to a barber is that haircut, right? Consumer products, there's different types of consumer products, right? That we buy. We buy convenient products, right? Convenience products that we buy frequently with limited consideration, shopping products that are a little bit more expensive that we buy less frequently, specialty products, which are more expensive and we rarely buy, or products and services that we don't buy or have a negative interest in buying, called unsought products. Different types of products. Business products, there are some of those as well to review through. Product features, these are special characteristics about a product. Consumer benefits, right? When you're marketing, you're thinking about how is this going to benefit the consumer and make sure that you let the consumer know, right? The advantage that the customer then gains from the specific product feature. So those are 2 things to think about: product features and customer benefits. Other things from this chapter, a product line or product mix, right? A product line is a group of products that are closely related to each other. So most of us shop product lines, right? We might buy a shampoo and a conditioner. I'll pick on soap right now. Maybe in a face wash, or body wash, all from the same company with the same basic fragrance, right? Product mix, so the different types of products that are out there. Some companies have, when we think about large parent companies, obviously they have product lines and product mixes. But, even think of Cheerios. Back in the day when I was younger, Cheerios came in one flavor, regular Cheerios, right? Then they started coming out with Honey Nut Cheerios. That was the second one. If you go to the cereal market now, and I challenge any of you to do this, right? There are like 6 kinds of Cheerios. There's frosted Cheerios, there's peanut butter Cheerios, there's cinnamon Cheerios, there's seasonal Cheerios, right? There's all different types of Cheerios. So they've expanded that product line of cereal, of Cheerios in particular, the company has, to multiple kinds of cereals within that line. We'll talk a little bit about brands, brand equity in chapter 12. And if you continue to use the same brand, that's called brand equity for the business. They understand that, okay, you find value with us, and what happens is that brand then has some pull, right? So that's brand equity. So some of our larger companies that if we buy, say, a polo shirt that has a company logo on it, it might also have the brand on it, right? Like a Nike swoosh, and signifying that that is a branded item versus a non-branded item. National brands versus store brands. How many of you have bought a Giant Eagle or Wegmans or Walmart Great Value, right? Those are store brands. We all know about store brands. We start to talk about packaging, product development ideas. How does that new product development process work? Some of you may have been involved in new product development. And this idea of first you have ideas and you screen ideas, right? Then you analyze the ideas that you chose through the screening process. Then you develop the ideas that made it through the analysis process. You test those ideas, and then you commercialize the product. Looking at the life cycle, the product life cycle for a typical product category, right? There's an introduction period, a growth period, maturity, where it kind of flattens out, and then back down on the decline. So depending on the type of product or the industry, they can be a little bit different. The example given in the book in Exhibit 12.7 really just gives you a generalization of those 4, right? Those 4 parts of the life cycle for a typical product. Promotion channels, a few of the things that specific marketing communication vehicles include things such as advertising, promotions, right? We see those, direct marketing, personal selling, and some of the emerging or some of the things that are out there that we see on a regular basis is sponsorship, right? Things during games. I know a lot of you get advertisements, any of you gamers, during your gaming, right? Sometimes the influencers, even though that's not listed on here, this is a little bit older text, is a huge one that has emerged. Internet advertising, somewhat, right? Social media, that would be considered TikTok and Instagram, marketing on those places. Facebook. Prior to 2010, people didn't market on Facebook. And prior to the last few years, people didn't market on TikTok, right? TikTok is a whole other trend of marketing, which many of you already know. Let's see what else is important from this chapter. Things to think about in the sales process, right? If you are interested in sales or selling a product, first you have to make sure that if you've ever tried to buy a car, right, you might go and they check and they'll ask you, okay, someone will come out and they'll say, oh, so you're looking to buy a car anytime soon? Then they'll say, well, how soon are you looking to buy a car? And do you have it already figured out as to what you want to buy, right? And then you talk to someone, the salesperson might talk to you for a while. They are using the sales process steps, right? You can take coursework in the sales process, and these are the steps that you follow in order to make sure that your client is staying on track, right? And then at the very end, what is the thing that you do? You close the sale, and then you do a follow-up. Any of you that have purchased a car, you know this, right? You present, here's the offer that we have for you to buy this car, and then usually you fight back a little. You say, I'd like this, or I'd like that, or I needed the price to come down a little bit, right? So let's handle objections. Then you close the sale. Great. Okay, well, let's sign in the dotted line, and then after the car has been purchased, you follow up and you say, hey, how's everything going? I just want to make sure that the car is meeting your needs, and you want to make sure you follow up so that you have repeat customers and that you have overall goodwill with your customers so that they recommend you to other people. All right, so that is those two items are touched on in chapter 12, the first two P's of the marketing mix. And so the product and the promotion part of the marketing mix. Discussion 3. So this week you are going to be doing the third of 3 of 4. I already have a couple that are up there. So discussion 3, make sure you chime in 2 to 3 sentences, right? And you are welcome to chime in on anyone else's discussion, but make sure you're just respectful and use inclusive language. So this week for discussion 3, pick your favorite product, for instance, a bakery that you visit, a car that you drive, or a local brand that you love. Think about the features of the product and the benefits associated with each feature. Now develop 2 or 3 more product features that you would also offer as a customer that have meaningful benefits. So you are a customer. So what are some things, work backwards, that you would like to see in a product? And why aren't these features currently part of the product? So think of a couple features. You can't really get this wrong. I mean, if you're picking a donut shop, you want to say, okay, what would be some things that the donut shop could offer? I have a favorite donut shop. I wish they were open on Mondays. They aren't. I wish they had a little bit more seating and maybe offered a little bit more of a mix of donuts. I would like to sit in there and have coffee. I wish they had a few more drinks that I could bring children in there and they could sit and have a donut and have a certain drink to go with it, right? So that would be the example that I might use. If you have a car, every car has some sort of something, right? That why doesn't this brand do this? Well, this brand does this. Some different offerings that different brands of cars have that maybe you wish your car did, right? And so that is this week's discussion post. Again, if you ever have questions, make sure that you reach out to me. You can reach out to me via email, crobertson@ec3pa.org, or my text, or my phone via text, 814-490-6473. I look forward to seeing your discussion posts this week, and I hope you are having a wonderful week as we kick off week 6 of an 8-week course.